Man, we got a sequel playing out on the high seas, Mutiny on the Bounty 2.0. But this isn't happening on the Bounty. It's happening on a Norwegian cruise ship where disgruntled, rerouted, unhappy cruise passengers, well, they're forming a rebellion. They're gathering together to get the answers that they deserve. And that's just one of the weird things popping off in cruising right now. The big story that I got to share with you is we've got passengers that were on a Carnival cruise ship accusing the crew members of being disrespectful to America. Yeah, that and a whole lot more. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news and views. It's for your face. For your face on a Tuesday, February the 13th, 2024. It's the day before Valentine's Day, and this will be my one and only Valentine's Day PSA. I've learned this through a lot of trials and tribulations, trial and error. Have your gifts ready to go in the morning as soon as your partner, your sweetheart, your significant other, the crush that you, as soon as that, well, maybe not the crush, because that means don't do this if it's just somebody that you're not with. Make sure that as soon as they wake up in the morning that the gifts are ready to go. You're going to lose so many points if you go to work and then you go to the gas station and try to find that last box of candy. You come home with like some gas station sushi, a box of candy, and a handwritten note. They're going to know that you didn't put any thought into Valentine's Day. So today's the day. This is your chance. Get it all ready. Have your gifts ready before them. But again, like I said, if it's a crush, if it's not somebody that you're with, don't like go over to a stranger's house and be there when they wake up. That's scary. Cruise news story number one. We got drama on the high seas. We've got disgruntled passengers on the Norwegian Star upset that their itinerary was changed seemingly prior to the cruise, and they were not notified until after they got on the cruise ship. This has come to light because a lady on board created a brand new TikTok account called Ruined Vacations, and I'll just let her, we'll listen to her words to see exactly what's going on.
I'm on board Norwegian Star. Our ship is not going to Antarctica. They secretively changed the name of this cruise yesterday on the app from South America and Antarctica to a round trip South America. We started talking to people last night. Everyone was angry. We told people to join us here at 9:30 this morning, and look at all the crowds that have turned up. Customer service are refusing to acknowledge us. They've sent their security officer out to calm us down, but we just refuse.
Wow, there you go. It's another story of a bucket list cruise that got a hole in the bucket. And, you know, these folks are saying we should have been told that there was going to be this change, and we should have been told why this change has happened. And as we've seen play out before, cruise lines don't have to tell you why changes happen, and they don't have to do anything when changes happen. It's written right there in the contract. I certainly understand these folks' frustrations. There's got to be a better way. There has to be a better way. I don't know. What's the solution to this? How would you feel? Leave a comment below. Now, I still have quite a few more cruise news stories, including one about cruise passengers claiming that crew members were disrespectful to America. But before I get there, let me quickly take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode. Today's episode is sponsored by Babbel. Babbel is one of the top learning language applications in the world. It uses real-world conversation to teach you a new language, and it's been scientifically proven that you can learn a new language using Babbel in about 3 weeks. The lessons in Babbel were designed by real language teachers. They've got a rock-solid 20-day money-back guarantee, and the reason I like it is they have a lot of different ways to go at learning a new language. They've got visual learning, they've got auditory learning, they've got live classes, they also have podcasts. Let's work through a couple key Spanish phrases. Here we go. We're going to work through the pronunciation of good morning. Right there it is at the bottom.
Buenos días.
Buenos días. And how about the complimentary good afternoon?
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. It's just that easy. Babbel using real conversational language, real conversational phrases to immerse you in the language and to get you up and speaking that language. Now, excitingly, you can try Babbel for yourself for a discounted price. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to get 60% off of your subscription. We certainly pack a lot of stuff when we go on our cruise vacations, but here's the challenge. Why not pack a new language? Pack it up here and pack it here. For your next cruise. Thank you, Babbel, for sponsoring today's episode. Cruise news story number 2 is also a story about an itinerary change, but it's an exciting story. News is coming from Cadiz, Spain, that the Carnival Vista has completed its 30-day dry dock, and it's starting to make its way across the Atlantic Ocean to begin its sailings in Port Canaveral. The most obvious update that this thing got was the new Carnival paint scheme, looking sharp on the outside of the Vista. But they were supposed to make it to Port Canaveral. I'm not sure the exact date, but they were supposed to get to Port Canaveral and do a 3-day sailing to kind of welcome the Vista to Port Canaveral. Well, now word has come out that because of bad weather in the Atlantic, they're going to be delayed. And so people that were booked on the 3-day sailing have been notified that their 3-day sailing will now be a 2-day sailing. Again, I think we're starting to, if you've watched for any period of time, you know that there is some variance sometimes when it comes to cruising, and things do not always go to plan. And well, the Vista is off by a day. I do love the Vista, the Panorama, and the Horizon. I love that class of Carnival cruise ship. Yeah, I'm ready to get back on the high seas. I'm not going to be able to cruise again until the end of March, and that's the way it goes, man. I mean, you know, I'm very fortunate to cruise as often as I do. That is not lost on me. But when you get in this cycle of when you're cruising a lot and then all of a sudden you have to stop, it's one of those things. It's one of those things. Are you on the Carnival Vista 2-day sailing? Are you bummed out about this, or is it part and parcel? Leave a comment below. Cruise news story number 3, and this one's really interesting. We're pretty familiar with shows being developed on land, Broadway shows, that kind of thing, making their way onto cruise ships. Well, now we have a cruise ship show that's made its way from the cruise ship onto land. Now, who could pull this off? Who could make a show so cool? Who could make a show so cool that it would end up on land? We're talking about Virgin Voyages, and one of my favorite shows on Virgin Voyages, I saw this show on the Scarlet Lady. It's called Dual Reality, and it's a modern retelling of the Romeo and Juliet story, and it includes a lot of high energy stuff, but I guess I love it because there's a lot of juggling in it. There's a lot of circus arts, but at the end of it's got a good story too. The show debuted last night on land in Boston. They're also going to have shows in Spain. They're going to have a bunch of different shows in the Netherlands, and then they're also going to have a show in San Diego. Costs about $16 to $48 to see the show. And I shared that price with you just to remind you of the value of cruising. Not only when you pay your cruise fare do you get your accommodations, your lodging, not only do you get a bunch of included food, but you also get entertainment that would cost you real money on land. Congratulations, Virgin Voyages, and if you get a chance, check out that dual reality show. Cruise news story number 4, sad news coming off of Royal Caribbean's Ultimate World Cruise. That's that 9-month cruise that has garnered a ton of media attention. There is a passenger that has passed away, an older lady that has passed away. Of course, like so many things on that cruise ship, this was first brought to the public's attention from a TikToker on there talking about it. As I said in that video the other day about people passing away on a cruise ship, that occurrence isn't that infrequent. It does happen. And so, of course, on this world cruise, you have a lot of people that have never cruised before. And so every event like this becomes shocking. But, you know, at the end of the day, we have to remember that now there's people out there that have lost a loved one. And, of course, Royal Caribbean is working with the family to provide care and all of those things. And, of course, our condolences and our thoughts and prayers go out to that family as they are grieving. Yeah, sad story off of the world cruise. And, yeah. That's that cruise life. Cruise news story number 5 involves this little genius invention. Look closely. That gentleman is ironing his clothes with a cordless travel iron. Some of the marketing of this product says that it's been TSA approved and cruise ship approved. And there's already been people that say, hey, can we take this on our next cruise? Well, Carnival Cruise Line has come out and said, not this, nope. You cannot bring travel irons on board. And so I think it's this is one of those other public service announcements, since you may run into marketing of this device and it's making its way around the socials, Facebook groups, those kind of things. You may run into marketing that says cruise ship approved. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is cruise line approved. So if you're adding this to your everyday cruise carry, if you want to take this on your cruise ship, you better make sure with the cruise line, because it sounds like if you try to bring this on Carnival Cruise Line, it's going to get confiscated. They're going to keep it confiscated. Now, we got to talk about the Super Bowl, and we have to talk about some passengers on cruise ships that feel like crew members are being disrespectful to Americans because of the Super Bowl. And we've got to talk about medical emergencies during the Super Bowl. But before I do that, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. And I got to apologize because I did not include the cruise jazz hands yesterday. And there were some people that felt unsatisfied. And I am never one that wants to leave you unsatisfied. So look, we're going to do it right now. Warm them up. You got your cruise hands ready. If you'd like to stay up to date with everything going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of this, any of the news and any of the commentary and this shirt. Yeah, subscribe, notification bell. Thank you in advance. Okay, the Super Bowl happened just a couple days ago. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. They've won back-to-back. It was their own sequel. But the thing that of course, you got to know the thing I was most excited about. Ludacris was on the stage. Shout out Luda. What an interesting halftime show. The sound seemed really janky at the beginning, but then by the time that we got to Usher, Little John, and Ludacris turning down the what, yeah, it seemed like it had really kicked in. Shout out Luda. And but some other things happened. One thing that happened is there was a medevac on a cruise ship, and I can't tell which cruise ship this is, and these pictures are pretty blurry, but there was a medevac that occurred on a cruise ship, and while the medevac was going on, they left the Super Bowl on. And so this headline here, is it an indictment? Is it calling into question whether or not they should have turned off the Super Bowl? I think if those two things weren't, if the Super Bowl screening was not adversely impacting the evacuation, which apparently it wasn't because the evacuation occurred successfully, I love salacious. This is salacious. Should you turn off the Super Bowl for the medevac emergency? It doesn't seem like it, but yeah, interesting story there. And then another thing that's popping off about the Super Bowl, this is pretty wild. It's wild what people will complain about, but apparently people are upset. This little missive right here, this was written to Carnival brand ambassador John Heald, a complaint, shocker, a complaint by passengers who said that during the national anthem, while it was being played at the Super Bowl, that the crew members on board whatever cruise ship, Carnival cruise ship, did not stop what they were doing to observe the national anthem. They continued to serve guests. And because they continued to serve guests, these patriotic Americans were offended. Isn't the whole concept of America to be free to do what you want? Isn't the fact that you could be disrespectful? I'm not saying that this is disrespectful, but isn't the American idea that you can be disrespectful? That's what freedom is. But again, I don't know. I'm not suggesting that these crew members are being disrespectful. I would be shocked that if everybody viewing the Super Bowl when the national anthem came, I would love to know if everybody stood up and put their hand over their heart and paid the appropriate homage, the respect. I doubt that even happened. And so the gall to, again, jump on crew members that the majority, I would say 99%, are not Americans. So are we supposed to suggest that everybody knows what the national anthem of the United States sounds like, and the appropriate thing? Look, we talk about these things because it's good, it's therapeutic, I suppose. But I think this is a crazy complaint. What do you think? Should cruise lines train their crew to recognize the Star Spangled Banner, and at the time they hear the Star Spangled Banner, to stop everything that they're doing and give them their flowers, show the respect that it deserves? I don't know. Leave a comment below. Now, let me say this. Boom! That is your cruise news. Another big thanks to Babbel for sponsoring today's episode, and a big thanks for you guys for watching. If you dug it, if you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, and please check out the recommended video that's going to pop up next. This is Tony for La Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye. Cruise news.